I watched Halloween Resurrection and I was right. Yes. It wasn't Michael under the mask of H2O because of course it wasn't. This movie exists after all. The timeline had already spoiled that twist for me. But honestly, the opening is kind of interesting because Michael Myers might have one of the most useful skills of any slasher villain. He can just look like a normal guy when he's not wearing the mask. He can take that thing off, walk into a crowd, and nobody would look twice. That is actually kind of terrifying. Halloween Resurrection is an interesting installment in this series because, for the most part, even when the franchise gets weird, Halloween usually plays itself pretty straight. It's a very serious, atmospheric series built around a silent killer stalking people, but Resurrection is goofy, and that is probably the nicest way to put it. And I understand why this one gets a lot of criticism. It is a very different flavor of Halloween, but honestly, I liked it. The early 2000s were when I was really starting to get into horror, and this movie has a weird nostalgia factor for me, even though I didn't watch it back then. It feels like a time capsule. It is absolutely soaked in the culture of that era, and I think that is both its biggest strength and its biggest weakness. The premise is after surviving H2O and apparently being killed by Laurie, Michael returns home and spends the next couple of years living in tunnels underneath the Myers house, eating rats. Michael Myers became the Rat Man. This man is on the world's worst keto diet. A reality TV show decides to film inside the Myers house, and Michael takes personal offense to this invasion of his property. Now, this might sound a little ridiculous, but the funny thing is, a reality show built around investigating a real murder location is not completely made up. There was actually a Fox reality show called Murder in Small Town X, which was basically a murder mystery competition. I remember watching it and really liking it. Obviously, it was a game, but the idea of turning crime and investigation into entertainment was very real. And the way Resurrection builds its reality show actually feels pretty accurate to the era. The audience assumes it's fake, the contestants know production is manipulating things. Everyone expects everything to be staged. So when Michael Myers actually shows up and starts killing people, nobody believes it, even though it is literally happening on camera. And that's probably one of the strongest ideas in the movie. There is some real commentary here about reality TV and audiences consuming trauma as entertainment and how constantly watching constructive narratives can affect our understanding of what is real. The problem is the movie does not trust itself at all. It has an interesting idea and then immediately stops to explain the interesting idea and explain it again and then explain it in a speech. If this movie could just shut up for 5 seconds and let the concept breathe, it might have worked a lot better. But being unable to shut up is a very accurate vibe for the early 2000s. Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks play the producers of the show. Tyra's basically a cameo. She's there, does her thing, and then she's gone. But Busta? Okay, Busta. Is he ridiculous? Absolutely. Is he the best actor in the world? No. But for a slasher movie, he's fine. And his character is just entertainingly weird. Our final girl is Sarah, who is talked into signing up for the show by her friends Jen and Rudy. And they all attend Haddonfield University because apparently Haddonfield grew enough to become a college town. Sure, why not? The other contestants are not great. And I mean that in the most exhausted way possible. The men in this reality show are basically a concentrated dose of early 2000s machismo. Constant posturing, constant flirting, constantly pushing boundaries. It's the kind of behavior where you're not scared of the serial killer yet because you're too busy thinking, can someone please remove this guy from my television? As everyone explores the Myers house, we get part of the movie that I find very interesting. Everything is being filmed. The entire experience is being broadcast online. People are watching and are entertained. The horror that is happening is content to people. And then we have Sarah's online boyfriend, who is played by the kid from Luck of the Irish, which made me laugh because it was fun seeing him show up in something completely different. And verdict is, he's a good boyfriend. Shocking development, I know. He watches the show because Sarah asks him to, he pays attention, and when things start going wrong, he is the first person to say, no, this is real. He calls 911 and argues with the operator over it. He tries to help Sarah through the cameras. And I actually really liked that. Because this is basically using one of the things audiences love about slashers: dramatic irony. Everyone has yelled at the screen, look behind you, don't go in there, run, bitch. The audience always knows more than the characters. And this movie takes that idea and makes the audience part of the story. The people watching aren't just spectators, they're trying to help. That is genuinely a fun use of technology. Now, Busta Rhymes roundhouse kicking Michael Myers. Is it silly? Yes, absolutely. But, and I have to give the movie credit here, It actually set that up. His character spends time watching old kung fu movies. He is clearly a fan. This is something that he does. People are allowed to have hobbies. Ed O'Neill's a black belt. I bet he could roundhouse kick someone if he really wanted to. That would still be funny, but it wouldn't come completely out of nowhere. So, Busta fighting Michael with kung fu moves is ridiculous, but it is character based ridiculousness, so I was happy he survived. Even if he could not stop with the quips. Hey, Mikey, happy Halloween. Come on. This man is fighting for his life and still has time to workshop one liners? The movie also gives me answers that H2O didn't, and maybe that was actually a smart choice by H2O. Because once you start asking what Michael has been doing for the past few years, the answers only create more questions. Apparently, he has been living under his old house in a rat's nest, eating rodents. What was his daily schedule like? Did he just wake up every morning and think, time to go sit underground again? Michael Myers being turned into the Rat Man technically answers the questions of where he was, but it also creates about 50 more questions I do not actually need the answers for. And this is probably the best way to describe Halloween Resurrection. It is an oddball. It is not the kind of Halloween movie most fans are looking for. It is not subtle, it is not quiet, it is not interested in letting Michael just exist in the shadows. It is loud and it is silly and it is extremely 2002. But I had fun with it. The one thing I'm less sold on is Laurie's death. That felt unnecessary. I understand maybe Jamie Lee Curtis might have wanted to move on from the character, and Laurie herself was ready to stop living in fear of Michael. But killing her off that way felt like the movie was just throwing away something that still had emotional weight. Overall thoughts, this is a weird little time capsule of a horror movie. It has some genuinely interesting ideas, some very questionable choices, but at least one moment where Busta Rhymes fights Michael Myers like he wandered in from a different movie. Honestly, I think that's what makes this movie memorable.